Now, students, Assalamu alaikum. Today is our second lecture of machine learning. In the previous lecture, we have already discussed some basic concept related to the machine learning. We started from the concept of learning mechanism, what was the meaning of learning, and then we discussed about the machine learning concept. We also discussed some conceptual analysis as well as the requirement of the machine learning, and we discuss different application on which you may apply a machine learning concept. In this lecture, we will talk about some learning algorithms and their statistical foundations. Actually, we have already discussed basically the machine learning is a combination of the statistical inference as well as the computer science algorithm. What we have to do in a machine learning, we are going to bridge and we are going to combine these two phenomena and developing an algorithm in this way to learn the patterns or behavior of the data sample which is providing to the system. That was the basic introduction which we have already discussed in the lecture 1. In the lectures 2, we will talk about some learning algorithm. Let's move with some learning algorithm concept and understand why we need to develop or define a learning algorithm and what are the significance of learning algorithm with the help of some statistical behavior. As far as the basic definition of machine learning is concerned, which we have already discussed in detail, starting from the learning phenomena as well, it is an algorithm which you people already aware of it, or a technique that enable computers to learn from data. This is basically the very specific definition which we can now talk about, because actually we have already discussed the three parameter which was very much important at that time whenever we were talking about some learning and machine learning concept. We talked about some data sample or some previous observation. We talked about some algorithm which is important because you have to infer the data samples and then you have to develop some flexible model making use of some uh, computer science techniques as well as the combination of statistics. Actually, as far as the basic machine learning phenomena is concerned, in a machine learning we call it as an algorithm or a technique that enable computer or maybe machine to learn from data. Actually, the phenomena of learning is important here, related with many areas such as data mining, statistics, information theory, and so on. And I think we have already discussed some interdisciplinary fields which is directly or indirectly relates with the machine learning. So actually, that was the basic concept which we discussed about the machine learning. And the same way we talked about some algorithm type in a machine learning. We have already discussed we have three type of basic learning algorithm based on supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforced learning. In the in associated with these learning algorithms, we have some model which is very much common and defined categorically depends upon the data or a nature of data which is being introduced into the system. There are two types of definitely learning which we will discuss in detail in this lecture because I've already discussed. We will not go for the reinforced learning concept at the very basic level at your stage. We will talk about some supervised learning and unsupervised learning phenomena. Here the most common algorithm which is used to develop or define the framework for learning model, or you may call it as a flexible model because I've already used this term in the previous lecture. That's why I'm repeating this term. But you may call it as a model or a learning model is artificial neural networks, which is very much important. And there's a lot of techniques involved. We will discuss in detail in the upcoming lecture how the artificial neural network work and how we can use the statistics involved in an artificial intelligence to use to make it in the form of algorithm which will use to introduce in the system, it will use to define a system or capable a system to learn the relevant features from the object or a data samples, or may call it as a previous observation which is being provided to the system. So actually one of the significant model is artificial neural network, And in parallel with the artificial neural network, we have some support vector machine. This is another type of algorithm which is very or a commonly used algorithm. These two algorithms are very much used in a different applications of machine learning, which is applied in any field. Maybe we talk about the medical science, we talk about some financial side, we talk about some human interaction, we talk about some cognitive science. These are the possible application areas in which these two models are commonly used, or you may develop these two models with the help of the data samples or feature extraction technique which is involved in a machine learning. So actually, what is the baseline of the machine learning as far as the significance definition is concerned? Machine learning is an algorithm or a technique which is used develop a model making use of two things: making use of previous observation, number one, or a data sample which is being provided to the system, and secondly, the extraction of the features or a feature extraction. Actually, what the machine does, how we can perform the learning. Learning is a phenomena in which the machine extract the features from the data samples and then make use of this feature to develop a framework for algorithm, or you may call it as a model. That model will be used further for testing and training as well. It depends upon the condition, definitely. And we have already discussed in the previous lecture, whenever we have developed a model, definitely either we make use of artificial neural network or support vector machine. We have to go for some optimization technique. There are very two commonly used optimization technique in a machine learning is expectation maximization, which is EM algorithm, and deterministic annealing. These are the two phenomena or optimization technique which is commonly used in a machine learning. We will discuss some basic concept related to this optimization, but definitely my focus in this lecture is to understand or to discuss the concept of machine learning algorithm and the behavior of machine learning with a different application that based on the sample provided, because the availability of the sample, which is very much important, because I've already discussed the availability of sample is basically decide the task or a mechanism or a framework of algorithm which is used to define or to check or to recognize to identify the different testing examples or a phenomenon. So here we have 3 to 4 things which we can combine here. Machine learning is not only a part of a single phenomena, it's a combination of phenomena involved in it. It's not only the phenomena, whereas we make use of a different area as well, which is directly or indirectly involved in a machine learning. Definitely, there's a lot of definition of learning, because I've already discussed with you learning is not a simple part. So definitely so many researchers are discuss the learning in its own way. One of the way through which you can see the learning is Hilbert Simon. He says learning is any process by which a system improves performance from experience. This is another dimension of the learning as well. It means that whenever you have some data samples, or you may call it as a past experience or a past observation, if you introduce those particular past observation into the system and try to learn the system, and system will learn that particular experience, then definitely whenever the amount of previous observation or the data provided to the system is increases, the system performance will increase. It totally depends upon how much data or information which is being provided to the system, because whenever the enough amount of information is provided to the system, then definitely the system will train or learn himself itself very focused. That's why whenever you will go for some testing phenomena, it will give you a better result comparatively with the less information or less amount of data sample provided to the system. It means that the size of the sample which is being provided to the system is another way through which you can see the machine learning phenomena. So it means you can see the machine learning in the different way. One way is to see with the help of the algorithm what is the suitable and what are the suitable algorithm you may use to develop a machine learning framework. How many size of data require or data sample requires whenever you are going to develop some machine learning or understand the machine learning or try to learn the sample to the system. These are the different question arises whenever you are going to to switch from one application to another application. Here definitely, as far as the basic definition with the help of Herbert Simon, is basically the system learning is a process by which the system improve their performance from the experience. But what is the task and what are the tasks or a basic tasks which is actually used to improve the performance from experience? We have to go for a classification, definitely Secondly, categorization or clustering, which we have already discussed. It is very much or directly related with some unsupervised phenomena. Classification is one of the category of supervised phenomena, which we have already discussed in the first lecture. Then some another directions called problem solving, planning, control. It means it learning may provide some another dimension of planning. It means whenever your system is able to learn some unseen information and having a generalization capability, then you may plan the system, you may control the system, even you can solve the problem easily by making help of the learning phenomena, which cannot be seen with any conventional programming scheme. And finally, one of the significant thing which is attached with this learning is a prediction. Learning may provide a very strong prediction system to you, depends upon the data type, depends upon the algorithm, depends upon the feature which is being extracted from the data, because these are the different parameters or a KPI of the machine learning, which is very much important whenever you are going to define and the prediction behavior. It means you can develop some predictive model. It means machine learning is not only used for classification, not only used for clustering for the data which is being provided, it may use for some predictive models. Even a predictive model means that it may identify some hidden parameters or a hidden features, or you call it as a hidden relationship between the data sample which is being provided or the feature extraction as well. These are the terminology which is commonly used in a machine learning, and you will see whenever you're going to read the machine learning phenomena, you have to see and you have to gone through